Arrays are a special type of variable that contain collection of data. So really an array is just a bunch of variables, and in PHP it's very easy to create arrays, unlike some other languages. And one of the things that computer languages differ a lot on is how they handle arrays and how arrays are portrayed and what you can do with arrays. And there's various different types of collections of data: map, hash, list, table, linked list, there's trees, etc. There's all these different types of things, but arrays are very simple in PHP and they're very powerful, very easy to use. And the main types of array that we have in PHP is either an indexed array or an associative array. So let's just quickly look at what an indexed array is. So let's create a variable and let's call it fruit, and let's assign that variable, let's assign to that variable an array, which is just a collection of data. So let's use the special array construct, and let's just add in these pieces of data into our array. So what we're doing here is we're creating an array using the special array construct, which looks just like a function. It's got the array keyword and then these parentheses, and inside, separated by commas, are these three values that are going to go into the array. So we talk about key value pairs sometimes with array, not these pairs of data. So we have, these are the values, and what are the keys? Well, the keys are how we would access these elements of the array. So these are elements of the array, and how do we access them? How do we get at these values and find out what's in here if we don't know? Well, one way to do this is to use array indices. So we can see here that apple has been output, so that's at array 0, that's at index 0 of this array. And you can see we use these square brackets to access elements of the array, and we just put in here 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, etc., depending on the size of our array. So this is the simplest type of array in PHP. It's an indexed array, and the reason it's indexed is because we use these numeric indices to access each element of the array. And as with often in programming, we start counting at 0. PHP is a bit funny, you can have minus numbers in here and everything, but just take it that you should start at 0, and the total number is going to be 3 in our array, but the last element will be accessed by 2 because we start counting at 0. So this would be element 0, this is element 1, and this is element 2. So let's just put in element 1 and element 2, and that should give us pair. Let's just quickly run that, and you can see, yeah, it's accessed pair. So that's the very simplest type of array in PHP, and these don't have to be strings here, these could be numbers. So let's make this, let's just change these to numbers here. And let's change the name just of our arrays onto ages, just to make a little bit more sense. And now if we access the third element of the ages array, that should be 65. So let's just have a look here, and indeed it is. So you can see that you can have different data in here. The values or the data in the array can have different types, but we're keeping the same type here of the index. Now we can also use strings in here, but then we're talking about something else called an associative array, and there's many advantages to having the numbers in here as our integers in here as our key, because we also talk about key values in arrays. Key values, this is the key, we use the key to look up the value, which is 65. So you've got some different terminology that people talk about when they talk about arrays. This is the data or the values, these are the keys or the indices. Now let's just have a look here at our whole array. We've used var dump before. Let's use that again. Let's just go back to our fruits array for a second, and let's use var dump to dump the contents of that array to the output, just to see what it looks like. And let's just clear the here, and let's just press F5 and output this here. Now I'm just using SciTE here to output the output stuff here directly down to this window here, but you could also output this would output to a web page if you have it's outputting to this arrays PHP web page here, which will be on our local host on the web server. But I'm just using this window here as a convenience, just for illustrative purposes. And you can see here that we have, and this is the output when we passed var dump the fruit variable which contains our array. So 0 contains this string of length 5 apple, this string of length 6 orange, and this string of length 4 pear. Now maybe we don't want to know all that information, so let's clear all that, and let's introduce a new function called printr, which is another nice built-in function in PHP, and we can use this one to look at arrays a bit better. So let's just look at our fruit now, and that's a bit neater. There we can see that this time it's told us that it's an array, and the first element is apple, the second element is orange, and the third element is pear. So that's quite a nice way to look at arrays using printr. It doesn't tell us the type of the values that are in the array, but it just makes it a bit neater because we already know that those are strings.